on all day yesterday. Good afternoon. I'm just going to get started. We had a really great graduation ceremony over at the Haverhill site of the Northern Essex Academy. It just dawned on me, I'm not sure that we got the word out that we were getting 7 new police officers on the street, to the point where we even have some certificates for them. But I think that what we saw yesterday with the graduation of the firefighters, alongside with the new police officers hitting the street, is that we're really seeing stuff that we've been talking about for years actually coming to fruition. And that's more police officers on the street, more firefighters in the firehouses. And that's important because they have a minimum manning over there, and every time we get below the minimum manning, we have to play overtime. But on this side, what it means, that there's more police officers to go after calls that come in. It means more police-generated cases because they're doing more vehicle stops. And in a time where we're getting more calls for service in places like Lowell, we'll have more people and more land. I think that the bodies are absolutely needed, and we are totally committed to continuing the growth of the department, and also to make sure that we're using everybody we have on staff appropriately. So I wanted to get an opportunity to come. I know we give the chief a couple some time to say something, but it's no small feat to become a police officer in Massachusetts today. Just the application process. I would challenge anyone to go try to apply to be a police officer in Massachusetts. It's a website that's hidden from view. It's like really hard to do, and that's why we set up a drive, an application drive, to help people go walk through that process, because it's not easy to just even to apply. But then you apply, and then you got to wait for the list to come out, and you land on the list. And for as many as you know, for the longest time we were stuck with the rigid Castro rule, which meant that for every 4 officers that we hired, we could only hire 1 person of color in the 4, because they were using 1970s data on population in the city. We were very successful with the help of the Attorney General's office, Plaintiffs' Counsel, and the NAACP to get that removed for communities like Lawrence, where we're upside down. And so now it's still in place for many communities that don't have the population shift that Lawrence had. But today, what we have is basically an organic choosing of the list. And what we got the first time we did organic choosing of the list, that academy produced, I believe, 2 police academy award winners from that organic list pool. I think we've gotten great candidates that way. We were actually having to skip good candidates of color to get to our white candidate quota, and so it was really great when we first got that initial list. When we did the bilingual list too, about 8 police officers that came on because they had checked off they had bilingual skills on it. Anyway, what this does is continues what you can just walk around the department and see, which is the biggest growth in police department in I think in generations, but also the biggest diversification. We're proud of the number of female officers that we've gotten. It's amazing the number of veterans that we're also putting on. The next list is equally diverse, equal number of veterans. I think we got 4 veterans coming through on that end. One of them would have been in this class, but he was deployed, and so I think he was deployed.
Was deployed.
Yeah, no, then yeah, he was deployed. It's okay.
Big one.
Yeah, and so I think that part of it is really great. The last thing I want to say, and I'll give it to the chief, is this is just the first part. We have a great FTO program. I know that the chief, Catherine McNamara, Lieutenant Fleming, Detective, he was in the academy. What's his name? He was one of the staff instructors in the academy.
Murphy?
Yeah, Detective Murphy. The work that they do to prepare these men and women for the street, I think is they do mock trial situations. They get them in the cars. I think we'll be very proud to see the work that these folks do to prepare these guys for the streets in Lawrence. And I know that I am always shocked that the types of things that they're training on to get them prepared. And at the end of the day, I think they come with their own special set of skills, their own personalities, and I think that they're going to show that they're kids from Lawrence who grew up here, and just like the chief and Lieutenant Fleming and the rest of the cadre who grew up in Lawrence, went to Lawrence Public Schools, that they're going to patrol our streets in the best manner they can. So we're excited here to have these new officers hit the street, introduce them to everyone, and then we'll have the chief talk, and then we'll give them some love. All right? Thank you. Chief.
So I'll just be brief. I just want to say that I'm very excited to have 7 new officers on the street. Obviously, it's an exciting time for us. We can get back to doing some of the things that we really want to do in the community, which is community policing. We want to focus on our gun and gang violence. And obviously, it goes without saying, 65,000 calls for service a year is what we deal with here in Lawrence. So we have to balance that out with trying to get back to doing some of the basic police work, which is community policing, and then doing some of our more tactical type operations where we want to target gun and gang violence and that. So in order to do that, you need bodies. And I give all the credit in the world to the mayor, the city council for their commitment to Lawrence to put more officers on the street. Obviously, in order to have a good, safe community, you need a strong public safety behind you. And they've obviously committed to that. And I give them all the credit in the world for that, along with our, I should say, state delegation, who's gone a long way to securing funds for us year in and year out, which lets us do the kind of things that we need to do to make Lawrence safer and bring Lawrence in the other direction. Lawrence is a very good place to work. I know a lot of people say it's a difficult time in policing. This day and age, dangerous, all the things going on across the nation that we're seeing in terms of targeting policing and the sort of the relationship between the police and the community has gone downhill, etc. We take it as a challenge here. I think it's a great time to be a policeman. That's the way I look at it, because this is our time to really put our spin on it and really get back to doing what we need to do and turn that sort of rhetoric around and improve our relationship with the community. I think that's very important. So it's a challenging time, but I think it's a great time to be a policeman in Lawrence, and we're looking forward to working not only with these 7 officers, but the 9 police officers that we have scheduled to go to the academy in mid-April, which will give us, with these officers, 16 total, coming out in October in the falls. That's when we're really going to be able to see our biggest impact in terms of getting more officers out on the street, walking, meeting the residents, getting back to community policing, and also targeting those other things that we see are our Power 1 crimes that we think are important to make some improvements on. So that being said, that's really all I have to say. Thank the mayor again for his commitment. Sir?
I was absent-minded in this process. The state delegation, the work that the state delegation has done bears stating again. We get almost $1 million every year that I've been mayor. We got from the state delegation's work at the State House to get us just for staffing. And what did that look like? Because it's kind of weird. You've never seen $1 million. Like $1 million is an abstract figure. But if you've ever been downtown on the closing of the club, and saw extra police officers changing the traffic pattern, that's the $1 million at work. And during the festivals, Hispanic Week, the Feast of the Three Saints, Bread and Roses Festival, all the time. Whenever you see police officers where you normally don't see them, that's that work that's happening. You see police officers on bikes. That's the work of that money that we get from the state. That's really, really important for work. These police officers get paid for that. It's not money that we expect that will go away anytime soon. And but what you will notice is there's no federal dollars involved in that. There's federal dollars for the vests, federal dollars for some communications. I think there's some federal dollars from, I think it's actually it's for some radios that we're working on. But in general, this money is Lawrence City taxpayers' money and the state, which like I said is almost $1 million every year. But we wouldn't have been able to do that without the help of Senator Barbara Italian, State Representative Dan DiZaggio, Representative Frank Moran and Representative Juan Matias. And really that got put in initially by then Senator Barry Feingold, got it in the budget a long time ago, and they've been able to sustain it. But now, with that being said, I don't want to take up too much more time of your time. We'll just make sure we get our certificates out to our folks. I know they're not going to read their name tags. Mejia. Nunes. Rivera. Rivas.
Thank you, sir.
Sandoval. Just a little appreciation from my end to you guys and celebrating your accomplishment and welcome you to.
Thank you, sir.
Be safe out there.
Thank you.
We can take some questions, but excellent.
Una pregunta.
Sí, claro.
¿Cuándo vamos a poder ver como la implementación de las bicicletas alrededor de la ciudad y de los
Lo que yo me imagino es que durante el tiempo de primavera va a empezar ese movimiento. El jefe de policía con los camioneros y tenientes tienen eso en mente siempre. Ellos saben el impacto de tener policía en bicicleta. Usualmente se hacen, eran pocos que se habían, pero yo creo que con estos 7 y vamos a decir 9 más que van a entrar a la academia, entonces van a salir en octubre, que entre el verano y el otoño vamos a tener suficiente muchachos en la bicicleta. Ahora, lo que se ha visto es que este jefe de policía sabe cómo mezclar las unidades especiales con tareas que son más básicas, que son walking beat y también cosas como la bicicleta. So yo espero que va a tener maybe una diferencia. So just want to know about when the police bikes.
Yeah.
I said it all in Spanish, I'm sure you understand.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, so the more officers that we get on the street, we're able to do those other things that we want to do. Right now, we're trying to get some more people out on the street, doing some admin work, trying to get some more visibility out there. I'm out there walking, the lieutenant's out there walking. So right now, it's small steps, and we're going to be putting some more people on the street this spring, this summer. And then by the fall is really what we'll see our impact when the officers are done their training program, and we have the new officers out there as well, is when we'll really start to see the impact of the new hires.
Para hacer una pequeña declaración o statement porque es importante como la grabación de estos.
O lo digo todo en español.
Sí,
¿Le puedo coger la pregunta entonces?
Sí,
I was just wondering, you mentioned this Castro rule and race, and I'm wondering why race would have anything to do with hiring police officers. Can you explain that a little bit to those of us who think maybe we should just be hiring the best people regardless of race?
There was a time in this community where the representation of the police force was not reflective of the people who live in the community. And so a group of citizens went to court, and Castro was the name of the case. And that case was won, I think in the 70s. And basically it said that 25% of the police force hiring practice in order to get the diversity would accomplish the diversity. So that was the law of the land. Literally up till 2014 when I first came into office, and we went back to civil service and we said, hey, this isn't working out for us because it's having the adverse effect. But because it was a lawsuit, you can't just do away with it. There's a court order in place. So what you got to do is you have to have a conversation with the plaintiff's counsel and the attorney general's office and come to an agreement on, hey, we don't want the case to go away because we don't, for some reason the makeup of the community changes. We do want to have some diversity in the police force.
Can you just explain why you think, because you said that it wasn't reflective of race of the people here. Why is that important if police officers?
Well, absolutely, that's the easiest part. What we figured out after we did the research, there was an 80% chance that if you called for help, the responding police officer would be someone that couldn't speak your language.
Shouldn't language be the requirement, not race?
But I'm just telling you that it's easier for us to respond to the needs of the community if we have police officers that have those skills. And I think that's what we have today, is that we have police officers not only that speak the language, but also understand the community and what's in it before. And so, this is a service-based operation, like every other city operation, so we want to provide a good service. And I think that that's we meet people where they are, not necessarily where we want them to be.
So the new recruits that come on, should all of them speak Spanish, given the population that they're dealing with?
Well, the way it gets pulled now, it isn't really a factor. If you're on the list, it's almost, I want to say 100%, but it's probably like 90% organic. So whoever scores the highest, who lives in the city, will come off the list first, as long as we meet the diversity criteria. It's no surprise that if you do that organically today, you're going to get a lot of kids, a lot of applicants who are of diverse nature. A lot of them go to the top too because they're veterans too, and so it was having a negative effect before. Today it's not having a negative effect.
So does Lawrence have any kind of a training program for the new officers that come on board to teach them Spanish, so that if they're out there and they're dealing with something that's, someone dying or there's an issue, they need to be able to communicate with people that are out there?
Yeah, no, I think, and I'm one of those people that my Spanish isn't that great, so I kind of have like my home school Spanish, but I don't think there's any plans to do that today. So I talk about diversity, and I don't talk necessarily 100% about being able to speak Spanish, because you can maybe get by, but that might be a good idea to get some Spanish language classes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Nosotros estamos aquí hoy específicamente hablando de los 9 policías, porque para nosotros la graduación de estos 7 policías con los 9 que vamos a mandar a la academia en unos cuantos días, en unos cuantos meses, va a enseñar la primera vez realmente lo que nosotros estamos viniendo diciendo, que necesitamos más policía que resuelva nuestra comunidad. Y yo creo que lo que ha pasado aquí en mucho tiempo con el jefe de policía nuevo, a mí el que estaba antes, es que nosotros estamos enfocados primero que nada en poner más policía en la calle y dándole el entrenamiento que ellos tienen, que necesitan, para asegurar que ellos nos den un servicio bien, que nos traten como ser humanos y que conozcan bien lo que nosotros necesitamos como una comunidad. Yo creo que, aunque había un problema en varios meses atrás con la delincuencia y asunto de problemas con violencia, lo que vamos a ver ahora es que con más policía podemos dirigir esa policía a hacer más trabajo enfocado en esa área. En un tiempo cuando no había suficiente policía, se nos hace más difícil hacer el problema. Yo creo que tratar de arreglar el problema. So, para nosotros estos 7 significa realmente lo que nosotros venimos diciendo, que con más policía nosotros podemos hacer el trabajo diferente.
¿Cuál es el enfoque de ahora en adelante? ¿Qué es lo que van a combatir? Primeramente se necesita enfocar en la ciudad.
No, yo creo que lo que nos estamos viendo es que el jefe de policía no ve cada problema como un problema serio, y el problema de la delincuencia y la droga, el vete y uso de droga, de los desamparados, todos están cada mezclados, y ellos van a estar más enfocados en asegurar que la gente que vive en la ciudad conozcan bien los policías, así pueden darle la información en esos problemas. Porque muchas veces dicen, nosotros sabemos cuál es el problema porque la policía no lo conoce tan bien. Nosotros vamos a estar con la ayuda de la policía, asegurando que esa información clave para diferentes crímenes, sea un robo de carro, sea una venta de droga, un punto, un local donde están haciendo cosas que no deben estar haciendo, esa información va a llegar más fácil a los policías porque van a tener más relación. El problema grande es la delincuencia, pero tener esa relación con la policía, porque conocen el nombre de la policía, porque lo han visto en su camisa, que nunca lo han visto antes, eso nos ayuda a arreglar el problema más grande con una solución pequeña.
I just have one question for the chief, if that's okay, that's fine. Chief, with the proliferation of gangs, we've seen the state police gang unit, we've seen all the federal units coming into Lawrence, because of the proliferation of gangs. These new recruits, these and the other ones that are coming on board, do you plan on using them at the end of the fall when they finish off their training? Is that going to help Lawrence with the gang unit? Are some of them going to be assigned to the gang unit, or are they going to free up other police officers to be assigned to the gang unit?
Yes, so I wouldn't say that these particular officers in general are going to be the ones that, will combat the gang and gun violence, but we do have plans to roll out. We're not going to wait for the fall. I think it's an important issue now before the springtime weather hits and the summertime weather hits and it starts to get really busy, that we attack that problem. So we're going to free up, we're doing a reorg of the entire organization right now, taking a look at everyone, what they're doing. We're trying to free up some bodies to put right into those categories now, attacking the gang and gun violence. Again, it won't be these particular officers because they're still training, and they'll probably go off into the patrol division and learn that function. Probably be a few years before these officers are getting into special assignments. We think that's usually what happens. But certainly we feel like the need now is to attack the problem with the gang and gun violence before the spring and summer. So we're not going to wait until then. We're going to free up as many resources as we can to attack those problems.
I'm sorry, I know I said that was the last question. I'm a little bit stuck in this guy. I drive around every night and chasing police calls. I've noticed in the last 30 to 90 days, significant reduction in violent crime, significant reduction in shots fired calls and shooting calls, even in domestic calls. Can you just tell us why that's happening? Because it would be great if it could keep going the way that it is. Whatever you guys are doing to make that happen.
I think it's all me. So certainly we can try to do things to combat those issues and making the officers more visible. There have been a number of officers that have come onto the job that are motivated, certainly as these officers will be. They're out there aggressive. We've certainly reached out to our partners. I've said that that's something we have done in the past, but I certainly have a lot of good relationships with the Massachusetts State Police, the DEA, the FBI, the ATF. We're using all of our partners to get into Lawrence. The Sheriff's Department has been great with us coming into the city. So I think we're just trying to focus our efforts on being more visible, being out there and targeting those things. We're going to go through our ups and lows, Tommy, as you know, in terms of crime. January was an outstanding month, down 46%. February ticked up a little bit in a couple of categories. So you're going to have your highs and lows, but if we put our priorities in the right spots, our resources, our officers in the right spots, we can still attack those issues that are going to be our issues, and hopefully we can drive those down to as low as we possibly can.
Thank you.
I just want to follow up on that real quick. I think the other piece of it is that
You're always saying you never say anything nice and anything positive about Lawrence, so go ahead.
I never thought your love of Lawrence. No, the only thing I would say is that just to manage expectations, they took down cases in the fall that were year-long cases. This is stuff like, today the motor vehicle theft number is as low as it is, and the RIM numbers as low as it is because they arrested people they've been after for months. And so I just want to make sure that we manage expectations with it too. It's like, this is a thing that it's a wave. If we don't do the work hard, we're going to see 6 months from now all the fruits of the hard work that the department's doing now. Just as we're seeing the fruits from the last 3 months that we're seeing now, the 4 months we're seeing now. So as long as we keep giving them resources and standing behind them the way we've been doing, I think that they're going to have the results we want. So I just want to manage a little bit of expectations that this is, as long as we keep doing the investigation and doing the work the way we've been doing, I think that we've got January looked that way because of the hard work. I think February's going to look the same way because of the work.
Thank you.